Fingerman wants to be your friend. I've lived in my cabin on the edge of Willow Creek Forest for nearly a decade. It's a secluded spot, miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by nature's beauty. I've always enjoyed the solitude, finding peace in the rustling leaves and the calls of distant wildlife. But over the past few months, something has changed. Strange lights have started appearing in the forest, and what I experienced when I tried to investigate has shaken me to my core. The first time I noticed the lights was late one night. I was sitting on my porch, enjoying the cool evening air, when a soft, pulsating glow caught my eye. It was deep in the woods, shifting colors from blue to green to a deep, eerie red. At first, I thought it might be campers or kids playing with flashlights. But the light moved in a way that didn't make sense. It floated smoothly, weaving through the trees, sometimes disappearing only to reappear moments later. I tried to ignore it, but the lights kept coming back, almost every night. They seemed to be getting closer, and I could no longer dismiss them as figments of my imagination. Curiosity and a growing sense of unease gnawed at me. Finally, I decided to find out what was causing the lights. One night, I armed myself with a flashlight and a sturdy walking stick, and I ventured into the forest. The lights were visible almost immediately, dancing through the trees about a mile from my cabin. As I got closer, I noticed an odd humming sound, low and rhythmic, that seemed to vibrate through the air. I followed the lights deeper into the woods, the trees around me growing thicker and the air colder. The humming grew louder, more intense, and I began to feel a strange pressure in my head, like something was trying to push its way into my thoughts. I pressed on, determined to uncover the source of the lights. After what felt like hours, I stumbled into a small clearing. In the center stood a large, glowing orb, about the size of a car, hovering a few feet above the ground. The light emanating from it was almost blinding, and the humming was now a deafening roar. I felt a wave of fear wash over me, but I couldn't look away. As I stood there, transfixed, the orb began to shift and change. Patterns and symbols appeared on its surface, twisting and writhing like living things. The air around me crackled with energy, and I felt a force pulling me toward the orb. I tried to back away, but my feet wouldn't move. Panic set in as I realized I was rooted to the spot, unable to escape. Then, without warning, the orb emitted a flash of light so bright it seared my eyes. I felt a searing pain in my head, and the world around me seemed to warp and twist. I heard voices, whispering, chanting, but I couldn't understand the words. It was as if 1,000 thoughts were being forced into my mind all at once. Just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The light faded, the humming ceased, and I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. When I looked up, the orb was gone. The clearing was dark and silent, the only sound my own ragged breathing. I don't remember how I made it back to my cabin. The next thing I knew, I was lying on my porch, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. My head throbbed and my body ached. But the worst part was the fear. It had settled deep in my bones, a cold, unshakable terror. I haven't ventured into the forest since that night. The lights still appear, but I keep my curtains drawn and my doors locked. I've told a few people what happened, but they look at me with disbelief, suggesting it was a dream or a hallucination. But I know what I experienced was real. The forest, once a place of solace and peace, is now a source of dread. I can't shake the feeling that something is watching me from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to draw me back. I've decided to sell my cabin and move away from Willow Creek. I need to leave this place and the memories behind. But I fear the lights, and whatever lies behind them will haunt me for the rest of my days. Who can be your friend? The Finger Man can.